Hi, this is Sean D'Souza, and you're listening to the 3-Month Vacation Podcast. This podcast isn't some magic trick about how to work less. Instead, it's about how to really enjoy the work that you do and to enjoy your vacation time. It's raining outside, and it's likely to be raining when I'm in Goa as this podcast is being released. Of all the re-releases that we've had from 2015, this is likely to be my big favorite. And the reason why it's my big favorite is because it encompasses what we stand for and what you could stand for. Instead of this mad search for doubling your clients and doubling your income, it brings some kind of sanity into your life. It asks you to examine what you really want from life and what you really want from business. And I know what I really want from life. I want an income that will sustain my 3-month vacation. I want an income that will allow me to take a nap in the afternoon and take the weekends off. That allows me to do the things that I like to do, which is to cook, to paint, to do the things that we really enjoy. Just doubling the income and doubling the customers doesn't entice me that much. So this one is very dear to my heart, and I hope you'll enjoy it. This is the 3-Month Vacation. I'm Sean D'Souza. Imagine you're a band, but not just any old music band. Instead, you're the most popular band in the whole world. You've sold over 200 million records. You're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And probably only 5 or 6 other bands have sold more than you in the entire history of pop.
Barry Gibb has never done this before. Never taken the long walk to the stage by himself.
Is it important for you to do this?
Yeah, it's everything to me. It's all I've ever known. I don't know how to do anything else. So,
You do this one pretty well, though.
I can't get a job.
He's the only surviving member of one of the 20th century's greatest vocal groups. And this night, at the TD Garden in Boston, he's about to begin his first ever solo tour.
So you have to ask yourself why. Why would Barry Gibb, with all his success and all the money that they've earned over the years as the Bee Gees, do his first solo tour? It's not like he needs the money or the fame, because they're the only group in history to have written, recorded, and produced 6 consecutive #1 hits. As Barry Gibb himself boasted, we weren't on the charts, we were the charts. So in that spring, as he hit the road across North America for 6 solo shows, every show was costing him $500,000 a night. He said he would be lucky to break even. But that's not the point. I have to keep this music alive, says Gibb. And to me, that's what embodies what I do. I want to keep the music alive. And I think this is true for most of us. Most of us aren't really looking for this magic pill. We're not looking to double our customers, triple our income, do any of that kind of nonsense. What we're trying to do is keep our music alive. We're trying to get some purpose in our lives. The money, the fame, all that stuff's really nice, but does it matter in the long run? At the height of the Beatles' fame, John Lennon said, "Work is life, you know, and without it, there's only uncertainty and unhappiness." And when you look at someone like the guy who runs Uchida, a little restaurant in Vancouver Island, the restaurant is only open from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And when you get there, you eat some of the most delightful Japanese food that I've ever eaten. And I have traveled to many places, including Japan. And that magic is expressed in his work. He gets to work and he stays until the restaurant closes at 2 o'clock. And it doesn't open for dinner because from 2 o'clock to 9 o'clock, he's preparing the next day's meals. Every day the meal is just so amazing. It's different every single day. It's a big surprise, and it's always amazing. Today I'm going to talk to you about 3 myths about business. We've run Psychotactics for the past 13 years, but the business goes back a long way when I used to be a cartoonist. And I'm going to bring to you these 3 myths which I think are important. I think they're important because everyone is talking about the other side, about more money, more customers, doubling your income, doing all that stuff. As I said, that's really nice, but is there a flip side to it? That's what we'll cover in today's episode. So first up on the menu today is the fact that you have to grow. That's myth number 1. Myth number 2 is that things get easier as you go along. And myth number 3 is that you have to create a life that you don't need a vacation from. Let's start off with the first myth, which is you have to grow. Once a year, we have a really important meeting at Psychotactics. My wife Renuka and I meet with our accountant, Steve, and we go over our accounts and we look at how much money we've made in the year. How much are our profits, what are the expenses, all the stuff that you do with an accountant before you sign off everything. And we're in 2015, but when I look at the accounts, it looks exactly as it did in 2007. "2007 was a really good year. We earned twice, maybe thrice as much as we needed. Of course, a third goes to the government. That's just what you do, you pay tax. But even so, you had twice as much as you needed. And our needs are not much. We take our breaks, we go on vacation, we buy a little goodies here and there, but we're not flash people. We don't have the flashiest car. We don't fly business, we always fly economy. So we keep our expenses under control. But even so, having twice as much as you need, that's quite a lot. The way that a lot of businesses go about this situation is to say, let's double it, let's treble it. And here's what I'm telling you, you don't have to double it, you don't have to treble it. You don't have to enter that rat race. All you have to do is stay comfortable. That was your goal in the first place. Your goal as a business owner was to start up a business, to have control over your life, and to be comfortable. It was not to struggle anymore. It was never to double and treble your income.
And of course, it's not true for everyone, but when you read the stories of business owners that have doubled and tripled and, quintupled their income, you find that there is a huge sacrifice. When people talk about all the extra stuff, the extra money that comes in, the extra fame, they don't talk about the downside until a lot later, when they're doing their memoir or when you meet them in private. The reality is that you have to double or treble absolutely nothing. You just have to get to a state of being comfortable. When we look at our list, for instance, the list grew from 200 to 300 people. Now there are 37,000 people. It might seem quite small when you think about it, because we've been around since 2002 and we only have 37,000 people. I know it sounds like a lot if you don't have 37,000 people, but if you've been around since 2002, the expectation is, well, you should have 350,000 people. Here's the reality. Those 37,000 people, not all of them open the newsletter. Maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people open the newsletter at any given point in time. And not 4,000 or 5,000 people act on everything. There are probably just about 400 people that act on pretty much everything. And those 400 people generate over 90% of our income. And most of them, they're members of 5,000 BC. Now, at this point, the whole message seems very conflicting, even hypocritical, because what we're saying is we are very comfortable and we're earning twice as much as we need, and we've got this huge list, and I'm saying to you, no, don't do that. Don't go crazy over stuff. But what's really happening is we started out small as well. We didn't have these big numbers, and we didn't have this income. And notice that it's 2007. We got to that point after being in business for 5 years. And we slowly and very organically grew our business. Now, if we wanted to explode, we could have had a list of 350,000 people. We could have had 10 times the income. But what does more money bring? More money only brings scale. When you think of money, you say, well, you have a car and you get a bigger car. You have a house, you have a bigger house. All it brings is scale. It doesn't bring you greater happiness. There's something else that brings you greater happiness. And this is the part where the growth really matters, where the sacrifice really matters. When you look at most of the products at Psychotactics, you will find that they have been polished over time. So when you look at the brain audit, it started with version 1, and then version 2, and then version 3, and then 3.2. And that's where we grow exponentially. When you look at the courses, they improve by 10% or 15% every year. How do we know this? Because we get feedback. Every course has one full day of feedback where clients tell us what we did wrong and how to fix it. So we have to fix it, and that takes a lot of time. And so there is the growth. We still take exactly the same number of clients for every course as we've always done. We never exceed 25. If you're in a workshop, it's never 30. There is never this need to continuously grow and grow bigger and go fatter and grow, I don't know. There is no need. But the need is in making magic, in getting your work better. And why is this need so important? Because you as a person, you feel satisfied. You feel, wow, my work has got better over the years. And you're fixing it, and it's improving, and it's evolving. And then you look at your clients and you see that they are achieving these skills, their business is growing, they're more satisfied, they're taking more vacations. And you think, my mission is on its way. It's not finished. It's on its way. And the benchmark needn't be the fame, and the benchmark needn't be the money, and the benchmark needn't be the growth. So that's one of the first myths that I want to take apart, because almost every book out there is talking about something quite the opposite. In fact, yesterday I was on Facebook, and there it was again. Double your income, lessen your work. No, your work is interesting. Your vacations are interesting. But I get the point. You can't sell a book that says, stay stagnant with your income, stay stagnant with your revenue, stay stagnant with your clients. It's not going to sell. Maybe it will. I don't know. But the point is, it's a myth. You have to be satisfied first. Your work has to bring great satisfaction, and you have to be comfortable. And that's all that really is required from you as a small business. Let the Apple and the Google and all those big companies do whatever it is that they want to do.
Let them double and treble and do whatever they want to do. That's probably not for you. And if you're the person that enjoys your family time and enjoys your life and enjoys the little things, then this is how you go about it. Because as we saw with the Bee Gees and Barry Gibb, the fame didn't make that much of a difference. It made a difference, but at the end of the day, it's about keeping the music alive. It's about keeping the magic alive. That brings us to the end of the first part. Now we go to the second myth, which is things get easier. Back in the year 2000, if you went to a site called millionbucks.co.nz, you would find our site. Yes, I'm embarrassed by the name, but that was what I wanted to do right at the start. I wanted to grow the business, make $1 million, do all the stuff that we're told we are supposed to do. Unfortunately, no one or very few people were making any money online at that point in time. The online space was not seen as some place where you could go and buy stuff. It was always about information and sharing that information. And it's not until 2002 that we launched Psychotactics, and that's when we sold our first copy of The Brain Audit. That was a big surprise. We were forced to set up our credit card system by someone else who kicked us into doing it, and then someone showed up and bought the first copy, took us completely by surprise. And then my wife Renuka would do a happy dance. So she would get up from her chair and do a dance in the room. And then, of course, as the months passed, we would get some more sales, and every time a sale came in, she would do a happy dance. It does get to the point where you can't dance anymore and you have to sit down and do your work. But you also buy into this idea that things will get easier. Because when we started out, we were working 5, 6, 7 days a week. I realized there are only 7 days in a week. But we were working all the time. And we thought things will get easier. And they have got easier. But wait a second, we still put in 5 full days. We take the weekend off now, but we still put in 5 full days. So how much easier has it got? The point is that if you want to do superb work, things don't get easier because you're always making it somehow better. You're always learning. You're always getting feedback, and feedback kills you because feedback tells you that your work isn't as superb as you think. That dish that you just cooked, that you've been raving about, that you think everyone should praise you for, it's too oily. There's too much salt in it. Or maybe there's just over-the-top salt and it tastes good, but that's too much salt for human consumption. You cannot take that feedback because that feedback means that you have to fix something. So clients will come back right after we've written a book and they'll say, you should fix this part or you should move that part. They'll get onto our courses and they'll start to move things around and they'll suggest different types of technology and we have to listen. And so all of that listening means all of that doing, and doing means that things never get easier. And it's like the story of the Golden Gate Bridge. They say they start painting at one end and by the time they get to the other end, they have to paint it again. I don't know if the story is true, but that's approximately what your business is going to be like. It's going to have lots of ups and downs, but more importantly, it's never going to get easier. If you want to improve your work, if you want to make it magic, you're going to get that feedback. You're going to ask for that feedback, and you're going to get that feedback, and you're going to have to fix things. And when you fix things, it's work. When you create new stuff, it's work. And all of this work brings an enormous amount of satisfaction. I can look back at a lot of the things that we've done, and if it weren't for the clients, I wouldn't have done it. If it weren't for the deadlines, I wouldn't have done it. But all of it is work. You look at this storytelling workshop that we're doing now in Nashville and Amsterdam. I would never have written the notes. I've written a series on storytelling. It's available as a book, but this is more comprehensive. This is more in-depth. And I've had to spend weeks working it out. I sit at the cafe, looking pensive, drinking my coffee, and then it's work. And to me, it never gets easier because you're always trying to explore that depth, as it were. You're trying to get that magic. You're trying to keep that music going. So we all start out with this dream of sitting on the beach and doing nothing. And that's not how the brain works, and that's not how the body works. In fact, if we sat at the beach and did nothing, well, we'd soon be a vegetable in no time at all. If we don't do our daily walks, and we don't exercise, and we don't meditate, and we don't do all the stuff that we're supposed to do, we don't do all this work, there's no satisfaction in life. Today I can write an article in 45 minutes. I can do the podcast, I can do webinars, I can do a lot of stuff. And what happens is you get much faster and better at doing stuff. And you want to get faster and better all the time because it improves your work. You put more cartoons in the books, you tweak the workshops, you do stuff that only brings more work. And of course, that's why you need the vacations as well, because you need to wind down. You need the weekends to wind down. And that's really how life continues. It's not about the beach. The beach, that's vacation time. There's a separate time for it. The third myth is that vacation is the enemy and work is everything. Because we've been talking about work, haven't we? So let's look at this third myth, which is that vacation is the enemy. But is vacation really the enemy? It seems like it, doesn't it? Because wherever you go on Facebook or on the internet, you run into this little saying by Seth Godin, and it says, instead of wondering where your next vacation is, maybe you should set up a life you don't need to escape from. And when you think about it, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense to have a great life and you don't need a vacation. And it doesn't make sense to me at all, because when you look at that saying, what it's saying is that your job, whatever you're doing right now, or your business, whatever you're doing right now, is so tedious that you're not enjoying yourself. And it's saying that the enemy is that bad job, that unsatisfying job, that unsatisfying business that you're running right now. And that you need to find something that is satisfying. That's the enemy. But look what happened here. Vacation came in. Vacation came in as the enemy when vacation is not the enemy at all. That bad job, that's the enemy. The good job, that's your friend. Vacation is the time where you get better at what you do. You take time off, just like a flight takes off and it lands and it has to refuel and it has to be maintained. That's what vacation is all about. It's about going to new lands, learning about stuff, learning the different types of food, enjoying yourself, reading, sleeping, drinking, doing stuff that we did as kids. When we grew up, we weren't working all the time. We'd go to school and then we had vacations. And vacations weren't the enemy back then. How did they become the enemy all of a sudden? It's because we got this crappy job. Or we're doing this business that is deeply unsatisfying. And then you have a statement like this, which is probably just off the cuff. But it has made vacations the enemy, and vacations are not the enemy at all. You can fool yourself, but the reason why we sit at work the whole time is because we get what is called work momentum. We work and we work and we work and we work. And then that momentum takes us into more work. And the moment we go on vacation, we're thinking of what? Work, of course. Because that's what we've been doing for so long. And then when you go on a vacation, if you have enough time on your vacation, you get into vacation momentum, and then you get more and more relaxed. And then when you get back to work, it's very hard to get back to work. And this management is important. This management of work and life. And it's important not to just take anything you see on Facebook, this nice little phrase, just because it came from Seth Godin or some other guru, and then take it as face value. You want to deconstruct it and understand why you did things the way you did. You want to see it from your perspective as a human being. You want to see it how you were when you were a child. Because vacations are like a drug. Once you take vacations, work becomes so much more satisfying. Okay, I'll stop ranting and raving. This brings us to the end of the episode. And what have we covered in this episode? We covered 3 things. The first thing we covered was this factor of doubling and trebling your income and your customers. At Psychotactics, we've grown organically. We've just done things, and the list has grown to quite a sizable number, but it's very slow. And it doesn't matter. If you do what you love and you do it really well, and you will over time, then you will find that there are clients and there's enough revenue and you live a very comfortable life. You're spending time with your family, you're doing things that you really want, and that's what's important. But that takes us to the second myth, and that is that life doesn't get easier. Well, it gets easier if you do nothing with your work. If you don't take feedback, if you're not big enough to take that feedback, because most of us are insecure and we feel like someone is attacking us when they give feedback, so we don't ask for feedback. We ask for praise all the time. But praise doesn't improve your work so much. Feedback does. And when you get that feedback, you have to do some more work. And of course, that takes more time. And so things don't always get easier. You just get better at it. And your work gets better, but never easier. And the final thing is that vacation is not the enemy. It has never been the enemy. We've made it the enemy because of crazy sayings that float around the internet. But in your early years, vacation has always been your friend. And you've just forgotten that friend and decided to adopt another friend who's a workaholic. Well, get rid of the workaholic and go back to your childhood. Go back to your young years, and you'll see that it's a lot more fun. And that brings us to the end of this episode. What's the one thing that we can do today? Well, this episode was not quite the things to do episode, but even so, one of the things that you can do today is make more work for yourself. Whether it's in your personal life, the hobbies that you have, or whether it's in work, you want to ask for feedback. You want to ask people to tell you what you can fix. And stop asking for so much praise. The praise is important, but the feedback is just as important. Create a little more work for yourself, and then take a vacation. Because as Gary Gibbs said, you want to keep the music alive.
One of the things that you might have noticed if you're on Facebook is how many cartoons I draw. I have been drawing cartoons since school, I think, and so that makes it at least 30 to 35 years. What's interesting is that I continue to improve. I am amazed that after all of this drawing, I can look at last year's work and it appears to have improved. And the reason why we started the Psychotactics cartooning course was to give people the chance to do just that, to draw cartoons, to draw, full stop. Because a lot of people believe that they can't draw, and that is fundamentally untrue. Everyone under the age of 3 years can draw, and then it's the ones that continue that become artists. So this gives you a second chance to draw, and not just draw, but in 6 months to become so good that people say, "Are you a professional cartoonist?" And this isn't just me saying it. You can see the work on the Da Vinci page. If you go to psychotactics.com/DaVinci, that's DAVINCI, you will see for yourself that work is from people who said, "I cannot draw." And this is the kind of thing that you have to do. You have to do things for yourself. This is what the 3-month vacation is all about. It's not just about vacation, it's about having the time to do the things that we really want to do. Pushing our boundaries in a way that makes it fun for us to do these things. To destroy the myths that have held us back in the past. So the cartooning course starts on the 22nd of August, but on the 6th of August, that's when the seats open. And there are very limited seats. We can't really train you if we have 50 people or 100 people. So we get it down to 30 or 35 people for the cartooning course. That's it. The headline course has even fewer people. We'll have it down to just 25. Now, the headline course teaches you how to write headlines. And, the thing is that I use headlines for my newsletters. I use them for webinars. I use them for videos. I use them for podcasts. It is almost impossible to wake up in the morning and not have to use a headline for some reason or the other. And if you're spending the time thinking about headlines, or worse, copying the headlines by cutting and pasting from somewhere else, well, you don't know how it works. And that holds you back so much. And the headline course starts on the 6th of September. But August the 13th, yes, the 13th, that's when we open up the seats. If you're a 5000 BC member, you get first preference, so it would be better if you were part of 5000 BC for more reasons than just joining a course. That's what 5000 BC brings you on top of all of the other goodies. The headline course, the cartooning course, 5000 BC. Is there anything else? Yes. There's New Zealand. That's 2017. So you have to go to psychotactics.com/X2017 and that'll get you to New Zealand. And this is me, Sean D'Souza, saying bye for now. Bye-bye.